The Rise of Skywalker is set to introduce many new aspects to the Star Wars franchise that fans have never seen before on the big screen in Star Wars film history by director J.J. Abrams. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. So what's really great about Episode 9 is that we do know that this movie is going to be an innovative Star Wars film, and that's exactly what J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio are aiming to do, also with the help of George Lucas. Really does make me feel a whole lot more optimistic about this movie and exactly where it's going, and exactly how it's going to end the Star Wars franchise when it comes to the Skywalker saga. Now, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this film, and when it all comes down to one of the concept art descriptions, this is where things begin to get very exciting for Episode 9. Now, specifically, shot descriptions consisting of both Kylo Ren and Rey standing in front of each other, where it's described to be a moment in between their lightsaber duel. It said that eventually Kylo Ren uses the Force stasis technique on Rey, again where she is frozen and not able to move, just like how it was used in The Force Awakens, where Rey lets go of her saber and drops it only for Kylo to also freeze the saber in mid-air, while keeping it ignited. Kylo is described to walk up to Rey, placing his hand on top of her head, where he is trying to get information out of Rey involving the location of the main Resistance base that serves as a beacon to all other allies around the galaxy. However, Rey is able to block her thoughts from spilling into Kylo Ren's mind. There is also a moment in which Rey begins to use the Force Stasis technique and directs it back at Kylo Ren, where she begins to walk around Kylo in a circle and digging into his subconscious and exposing his feelings for his mother Leia, and how being the Supreme Leader is a burden for Kylo Ren. This is where Kylo is described to make a surprise attack on Rey by breaking free from the Force Freeze, where he force pushes Rey into a pile of rubble, where their saber duel eventually resumes, where their sabers eventually clash together, as the environment around them begins to shift to where they are dueling in front of a landscape of the city of Coruscant at night, where fast-paced saber moves are exchanged between the two on top of a landing pad. It's said to be a night sequence where all the city lights can be seen in the distance. So let's go over a couple of parts about this, because we do know that this movie is of course going to tap into a lot of elements that were used in The Force Awakens that are going to evolve in Episode 9. So let's go over the Force Freeze technique. Now, the Force Freeze technique is something that Rey is going to use in this movie that was introduced to the Star Wars franchise by Kylo Ren. And what I really am confused about this is that I'm starting to wonder exactly how Rey learned the Force Freeze ability. Most likely it was from the Hutt sequence in The Last Jedi. I don't know if you guys knew this, but if you read The Last Jedi novelization, you will in fact learn that in the novel, we do in fact get to know that Rey was able to learn a lot of Kylo's abilities when she connected with him via the Force Bond when they were in the Hutt sequence on Ahch-To. That's exactly where she learned new powers, all thanks to Kylo Ren. So that's probably the moment in which she learned the Force Freeze technique that she eventually pushes back toward Kylo Ren in this particular sequence. But earlier on is the thing that really does interest me the most, is where Kylo Ren eventually uses it on her first, where he is trying to get information out of Rey's mind about the location of the Resistance base, the main Resistance base that serves as a beacon, if you will, to all allies around all the corners of the galaxy. So basically, it's a large communication base that's reaching out to certain regions of the galaxy and recruiting others to go up against the First Order, and pretty much, sparking hope around the galaxy. Now, this is a very interesting sequence that I think a lot of fans are going to enjoy, is the big prequel trilogy connection, is where eventually Rey and Kylo Ren engage in their saber duel once again, where they begin to clash their lightsabers together, and that's exactly where they are brought back to the world of Coruscant over the city. Now, they're said to be fighting on top of some large landing pad where the city, or the landscape if you will, can be seen in the distance, where all the city lights can be seen. So this is described to be a night sequence between both Rey and Kylo and their duel on top of this landing pad. Now, we do know that George Lucas is the man himself who handpicked a lot of the worlds that would appear throughout the flash fights from start to finish. So far we have been hearing about Mustafar, Naboo, and even Tatooine just as examples of what's going to appear for the flash fights between both Kylo Ren and Rey. So what do I make about this whole entire sequence? Well, I will say that I feel like that the whole entire force freeze technique, also called force stasis, should really only be applied to the character of Kylo Ren. It seems like that's the iconic part of Kylo, is using that force freeze ability in The Force Awakens that's going to evolve in Star Wars Episode 9 into something new. So with that being said, guys, I will say that the whole entire setup here to this particular flash fight is rather intriguing, because we have a moment that's similar to the Takodana sequence that's going to be used on the First Order battlefield between both Rey and Kylo, where it's eventually revealed that Rey uses this against Kylo Ren and also holds this ability. Anyways, guys, drop a comment below, let me know what you think about all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to morning.